Hey guys, welcome back to the channel here. Today we are checking out this econobox, this 2024 Kia Soul. You might closely associate this thing with those crazy, wacky commercials with the hamsters back in the day. It used to be kind of a joke, a running theme. Oh, you've got one of those hamster cars, but not anymore. The inside of this Kia Soul has a deceivingly large amount of room. It's a smaller car, not terribly long, not terribly tall, but there's a ton of room in here, both for your head, for your legs, for your cargo, for people. There's tons of room in this small subcompact, what Kia calls an SUV. We'll get to that later on in the video. But new for 2024, this car kind of carries over unchanged from the previous model year. There are a few new designer packages, a few new things that Kia throws in, but largely this car looks the same. Now this is more of the base model. This is the LX, which is the base out of 4 trim levels, starting around 21,000 bucks and rising to the mid-20s depending on what options and what trims you do get. But I mean, look at this thing, very quirky, very full of character, very boxy obviously, and because of that boxiness it's not very aerodynamic, and that unfortunately does affect your MPGs. We'll get into that when we talk about the engine. This largely has kept its classic shape ever since it came out in like 2009, 2010, I'm guessing about 15 years ago or so. I used to have one of these. I had a 2015 Kia Soul. It feels super familiar to me. The interior has changed more than the exterior, and I love the way it looks. I mean, it's a comfortable ride, it's a character-full ride, and it really gives you a ton of bang for your buck. So many features, so many basic standard things in this car that come for $21,000, $22,000. And this Soul is practical, affordable, stylish, all the things you would want in an affordable econobox that really has a ton to offer. So today I'll give you a full review of the outside of this car, the inside of this car, talk about the stats under the hood, also give you a shot at that cargo space in the back. There is a deep well back there full of space for your suitcases, all kinds of cargo. The seats do fold down as well, revealing more room, give you a full review of the inside of the cargo space, and of course take it out on the road as well and show off what this 4-cylinder engine has to offer. If you are new to the channel here on Overdrive Reviews, thank you so much for finding us. Be sure to subscribe to the channel below, follow us over on Instagram as well, and comment and like below if you found this video helpful. All right, for now though, let's get moving on the exterior of this thing and talk all about what this 2024 Kia Soul has to offer. I want to start here at the front of the Kia Soul because the largest difference between this one and the one that I had 8 years ago is the front. I love the way Kia has redesigned this to make it look more sporty, more aggressive, and more modern. This big bar up front, I wish it all lit up. It does not, but what does look really nice are these lights. These are not LEDs, unfortunately. There are LED options, I believe, on the higher trims, but again, this is just the base model. No fog lights down here or anything too, and a large black grille. One thing that does get upgraded whenever you opt for the GT line, which is the sporty trim, you do get body panels and trim that are the same color. So this one has all that black cladding down here at the bottom and everything like that. All of that goes away on the GT line trim. But this particular color is not all that exciting. This is, again, a base model with this kind of graphite gray here that I have today for this review. This particular one does have 16-inch wheels here. These are 205 60R16, so 16-inch rims on these Nexen tires, 4-wheel disc brakes the whole way around as well. It has this classic boxy shape. You know, parents might call it a hearse or something funny to make fun of it, but at the end of the day, if you're looking for an affordable car with tons of safety features, tons of tech, tons of other features, convenience things, this really is a top competitor for sure. There's no doubt about it. And I particularly love the new Kia logo. Check this thing out. They changed it a year or two ago, and it looks really nice on these new vehicles. Modern design, all kind of uniform. Let's talk pricing though. So the LX starts around 21,500 bucks. The next in line is the S trim, goes for about $24,000. The GT trim, which I talked about, the GT line trim, about $25,100, and that has sportier looks than the other trims. Its own wheel design and body color trim, like I mentioned before. And the EX, the top of the line Kia Soul, goes for about $25,800. So you're under 30,000 bucks for one of these cars when you've got it all loaded up, which is really, really nice. And lots of character, not really aerodynamic as I mentioned at the top of the video, but definitely a looker, maybe with not these wheels. Maybe with the GT line wheels, you might turn a few more heads, but there's tons of things that Kia has pumped into this Kia Soul that makes it a winner year after year. And one of those things that really helps is Kia's warranty, 60,000 miles. Limited warranty covers 5 years, 60,000 miles. And of course, that popular, really, really famous powertrain warranty of 10 years, 100,000 miles. So an inexpensive car with tons of things in it for your basic everyday driver, and it's protected for up to 10 years. That is just crazy and virtually unheard of in today's world, but Kia is still keeping that up. And with this one being the base, you don't have any kind of special things like, you know, there are no turn signals here in this particular model on the side mirror. There is no push to tap or anything like that to open up the door. You do have to open up the door the old-fashioned way, which is, of course, clicking the little button on your knob. And we'll talk about the key later on, too. It's actually a flip key kind of thing. You have to, like, pop out the handle and turn it. It is not push to start on this particular model. That is an option, though. What is really nice, like Kia puts all of these roof rack mounting ports in all of their Souls, so you can add a roof rack if you need. There is no sunroof on this particular one. There's your shark fin antenna, but there are mounting points for roof racks should you decide to add that. I really love the look of the exterior rear of this car. These nice swooping lights right here. The sun's kind of blaring them out a little bit, but they look really, really nice lit up at night. It's kind of one of those things where, to me, you know what kind of car you're looking at immediately, you know, from a couple hundred feet down the road. Either a CR-V, a Volvo XC90, or a Kia Soul. They have these big kind of pillar-like brake lights that look really, really nice. Again, that huge Kia logo right there in the center of the vehicle. And what's really, really cool too is how integrated they've made everything look. I mean, this right here is okay. This to me could be hidden under a wing if this car had a wing or anything like that. But what is really nice is there's no big glob of a camera. It is hidden right down there, right above the license plate. So it's very integrated nicely. I love these rear lights. And although what I would call a subcompact kind of wagon, a hatchback of some sort, Kia calls this an SUV. I don't know if I agree with that. There's not too much SUV-ness about it. You're not going to take this off-road or up into the mountains or anything like that, but it does have lots of cargo room and everyday kind of maneuverability and versatility that the average person would use. But not so much an SUV in my book, but you know, me and Kia can, I guess, disagree on that. All right, let's hop into the engine bay and check out the only engine option that Kia owners can have in their 2024 Soul. So the only power plant you can have in your 2024 Kia Soul is this 2.0 liter 4-cylinder engine pumping out 147 horsepower, 132 pound-feet of torque. Gone are the turbo options. There, of course, is no all-wheel drive option. So no matter what Kia Soul you get, one of the 4 trim levels, S, LX, EX, GT, any of them, you really only have this 4-cylinder engine to choose from. Turbo is gone. Now, speaking of econoboxes, you kind of think maybe that a good fuel efficiency rating goes with that. And this one is not all that impressive. If there's a con to the Kia Soul, it's the fact that it doesn't get great gas mileage. About 27.33 for a combined of 30 overall miles per gallon on regular unleaded fuel. Now, a small car like this can get up into the higher 30s usually, and that's kind of where this one really differentiates and suffers from, you know, kind of some setbacks as far as competing with its rivals. The fuel efficiency is not all that great. So what about acceleration? 0 to 60 in about 8 seconds here in this 147 horsepower 4-cylinder Kia Soul. Not terribly quick, but definitely enough power around town to, you know, get up and going, peppy kind of in and out of city streets type things. It is all mated to a CVT, continuously variable transmission, and front wheel drive. And another note about the fuel efficiency, the comparable Hyundai Venue and the Nissan Kicks, kind of its main rivals, really do outshine this as far as fuel efficiency as well. About 30 for the Hyundai Venue, about 31 for the Nissan Kicks in the city, that is. So this one definitely loses some city MPGs compared to its rivals. And one more thing I forgot to mention before we leave the engine behind is that I love this convenience factor of there's no stick to prop open the hood. It just holds itself up. And maybe if you're trying to, like, you know, put in more windshield washer fluid one day really fast and you're trying to mess and putz with it, it doesn't always work. It's cold out, it's raining, it's whatever. This inexpensive car has no little stick to hold up its hood. Why doesn't every car have that? It's the small things that I think Kia has thought about to really keep this car kind of fun, quirky, and accommodating to all of its owners. Okay, now let's hop into the cargo space. When it comes to cargo room, the Kia Soul really shines. The handle, by the way, to open up is down here. You just pop it open, and it's relatively easy to open up this very large rear trunk door. Look at this huge well in there too, by the way. It goes down a good like half a foot. Tons of room down here for suitcases, probably 7 or 8 smaller carry-ons and duffel bags. A lot of room here behind the second row. So behind that second row, about 24.2 cubic feet of space. That is with those second row seats up. And when you put those second row seats down, by the way, and they're pretty easy to do, you just come around here and latch onto this little handle, pull down. It's about a 60-40 split, by the way. You get about 62 cubic feet of space with that second row down. So tons of room inside this thing, despite its smaller size. Look at that. You could fit, you know, lots of boxes, lots of Rubbermaid things, all kind of cargo, depending on how many passengers you have. You can have those back seats down the whole time and put all your stuff in the back. Dogs, everything ready to go here in the back of the Kia Soul. Tons of headroom too. The rear seats have plenty of legroom, lots of rear cargo space to put all your things. Underneath this floor here, there is a temporary spare tire built right in. This is not a very strong little piece. It's kind of flimsy, so nothing too heavy should probably go on top of it. And this particular car doesn't have it, but there is a little cover that goes on this track right here on either side to cover up what is in this well. You can remove it entirely like it is right now, or keep it in to kind of hide things underneath the actual floor. So there's a lot of room back here, some hidden storage compartments as well. Nicely done by Kia, kind of optimizing and using all of the space that this thing has to offer. And this one does not have a power closing lift gate, unfortunately, so you do have to reach up and grab this big old handle to get it shut. Let's move up front. Alrighty, so the inside of this Kia Soul is much more, I think, aesthetically pleasing than you might be anticipating. And forgive this big old mat that I have in the car. It's super sunny right now, and I can't film unless the sun is blocked, so not as pretty as it normally would be, but just deal with me on that one. Let's start at the door here for you. I love the textured inserts that Kia has put in the inside of the Soul here. This looks like something you might find in an upscale Lexus or Acura or something like that. It is nice to the touch. It does not feel cheap, and it has a nice little kind of premium touch and feel to it here in the inside of this Soul. You have your window controls right here. This particular model only has an automatic down driver window. Everything else is manual, and you have to do by holding your finger on the button. A 6-speaker sound system is standard. You can upgrade to a Harman Kardon premium sound system on the GT line, which is that sporty one. Here, I love this kind of integrated handle for both opening the door, closing the door, and it also kind of acts as a little handle whenever you're maybe taking a corner too tight or something like that. But a nice door all around here as well. Let's talk about the seats. They are super cushiony and super squishy for being cloth. Again, not premium interior really at all, but a nice job by Kia. They are comfortable, they are soft to the touch, they're firm where they need to be, and have a little bit of bolstering you can kind of see there on the side. But again, this car is not going to be whipped around any corners or anything crazy like that. You do have manual seats here in this base model. Nothing super fancy. You do get power seats for the driver the higher up on the trims that you go. Let's hop in here and start her up and also do a little bit of a door check. All right, here we go. Listen. Nice, a nice thud. Kias used to sound super tinny and super like, you know, just didn't really sound all that great and all that well made, but they've really changed up how nice their cars are, just through and through, on the outside, on the inside, in the engine, everywhere that you could possibly care about quality. As I mentioned before, this car has an old-fashioned key. It flicks open just like that. It's a nice key fob in general. It feels solid. It feels nice. You've got your buttons right here, and it looks really sleek. I just don't love the fact that it's not a push-button start. You do have to start the car down here like the old days. So here we go. And nice little welcome sounds, a nice little welcome message there for you as well. And this digital gauge cluster is really great. I love it. Again, $22,000 car, completely digital. It makes the experience so much better whenever you're trying to go through different driver settings and things like that. Over here is your main button to do all things digital gauge cluster. It'll change things to driver assistant. You can do all sorts of customization with the cluster, the lights, the doors, what sounds happen where, what sort of units you want. Do you want Fahrenheit Fahrenheit? Do you want Celsius? All sorts of customization options for you. And also over on the tire pressure option page, all of this is spelled out for you. Driver info, it resets the trip, by the way, every single time you start the car, so you know how long that particular trip is. And if you by any chance want to get sporty and put the car down here into sport mode over to the left, all of that turns red. So going to the left turns all of that red, and those actually move the faster you're going and kind of show your speed and your overall efficiency fuel-wise. Let's get back to the steering wheel here for you. This particular one does not have a heated steering wheel, although a heated steering wheel is possible. The wheel definitely feels a little cheaper. It's not the greatest material. I feel like this stuff will probably get really marked up with dirty fingers if you're eating during your drive or anything like that. And if you've got makeup on or something, you definitely will mark up this steering wheel if you don't keep it clean. What I do love though are these big round buttons, tons of buttons on either side. You know, you got wireless, Bluetooth right here, you've got your volume, you've got different modes and everything like that. I already showed you this over here. You've got your cruise control as well, different driver assistance features here. And one of the coolest things you can do is actually change the number of flashes that the turn signal gives you with a single whack of the turn signal. Right now I've got it set to 5, right? But under the user settings, under driver assistance, if you go to lights down here, just use little arrows to scroll down, go to lights, and then go down to one touch turn signal. You can change it to 7 flashes, 5 flashes, or 3 flashes. I find that incredible because I've often thought that just 3 flashes when you're getting over is not enough. I have it on 5. 7 probably is also necessary at some points, but I love the customization that Kia gives you. Again, an economy car thinking ahead and giving you some really, really cool features that other cars just don't have. All right, enough about the steering wheel. All of the wipers and controls are right here as well. Very easy to understand. Nothing difficult here or nothing to write home about at all. While we're mentioning the front of the car here, where this big mat is, by the way, this is all plastic and very, very prone to, hey, you can see it right there, some smudging and some oils from your fingers. I love this big kind of like, almost like a trough that Kia has put the whole way around, and it integrates perfectly into the door. And they've made this look really, really nice and cohesive and almost like, again, like a little moat of some sort, and it flows right into the door panel seamlessly. A really nice job and some design cues that we're not used to seeing from Kia. And opening the door again, a little teeny pocket for, you know, a bottle of water, some napkins, things down here. It's not very big, it's also very thin, so you won't be using that for a whole lot. And let's get to the center display here. So the LX, the base model, has an 8-inch touchscreen. All other trim levels have a 10.3-inch touchscreen. It's very Kia forward, very Kia friendly. I'm sorry about the glare here, trying to show this to you. Very easy to use, all sorts of different things, your phone projection, voice memo, radio. And if you can't really see it, maybe I'll try to get it from another angle. This is actually turned slightly toward the driver, so it actually is really, really nicely put in your line of sight. It's not straight back and you kind of have to sit in the center of the car to see it. I think Audi does it as well. Down here, this has a very basic climate control system, does not have automatic. You do have your normal dials here. And let me tell you something, this might be annoying to folks who kind of like the really luxurious touches. This makes finding your speed, your temperature, super, super easy. And like, you know, the old school way still is useful. I like it quite a bit, especially when you're trying to save a few $1,000 on another car. This makes it very, very easy to understand. Down here, you do have 2 12-volt outlets along with a USB right there, a teeny cubby hole for, you know, sunglasses, keys, things like that. And right here in the center, next to the gear shifter, you do have a bunch of extra buttons that are not filled out because, again, this is the base model. You do have drive mode here, which then, of course, will change things in the center. All that you have options here for are sport and normal, nothing else. No off-road, no mud, no snow, nothing like that. But again, you're in a front-wheel drive car, so you should be fine. And I will say, everything feels nice to the touch. I mean, this is like not real leather, I don't think, right here, but everything feels relatively high quality as far as materials go. They don't feel chintzy, they don't feel cheap. I've driven other Kias where things just feel like they're slapped together last minute. It definitely is full of plastic, don't get me wrong. Nothing is like, you know, crazy expensive, but it doesn't feel as cheap as maybe the car actually is in reality. And one of the coolest touches, again, that Kia has thrown in here, to get this vent to totally shut off, you can actually switch it the whole way over, and listen to this, it clicks. Yeah, it clicks everything shut. Same with this one, just turn this over the whole way and it clicks shut. All of them work like that. It's a really nice touch, just all the way to the left, and it's shut. In the center here, you do have a small little cubby hole for storage. Nothing too large is going to fit in here. There's no outlet in there either, so it's kind of just a small center console. This does not move forward or back like I think it really should. A nice 2 or 3 inches forward would be a nicer placement for taller folks with their elbow and their arm right here, but alas, it does not move. And speaking of moving, I have the visors, the sun visors, moved right now to hold this big mat in place because it is super sunny outside. Look where we are, by the way, right on the river by this big bridge. It's beautiful, but just too much sun for right now. These visors are very, very basic. They're very, very flimsy in my opinion, but they do the job, I guess. There is no light up here. That is not included on this trim level. You just have a mirror that closes, and that is about it. It does extend, by the way, though. You see those arrows, so whenever this is off to the side, you can actually extend this and, you know, block the sun where you need to, which is a nice touch. No sunroof in this particular vehicle. That is an option on some of the Kia Souls, the higher up you go, but no sunroof on this one. So a nice cockpit in general, truly a place that is filled with tons of tech and tons of really cool features and a nice design. Look how cool this looks. I mean, this is not the Kia we used to know. They've done a really great job over the last 10, 15 years, really upping the game on their vehicles, and I'm quite a fan, truly I am. A comfy rear seat for sure, lots of headroom, a deceivingly large amount of room in this car, as I said earlier, lots of rear room too for your passengers. Not a ton of leg room though, I will say, if you're a taller person with those front seats back where someone taller would need to drive from, but definitely enough room for children back here. 3 seats across the center here. There are no cup holders. There is no like center part to grab here and yank down for a center cup holder like there is in most cars, but you do again have these nice door inserts in the back, which I love quite a bit. A nice little luxurious touch, if you will. A very small pocket right here to put a cup of water or something like that, but you don't have any vents back here. You don't have any cell phone charging ports either, so a very basic rear seat. These seats do go down in a 60-40 split. It's not anything super flat, so be aware of that. You will have a little bit of an incline still whenever you put these seats down. But in all, who's going to be buying this car? The folks who want to save a little bit of money, maybe a new student, maybe your first job. This is the car you get to commute back and forth. It's an inexpensive vehicle to own and to maintain, and also has a ton of really cool, valuable features and amenities that Kia has tucked in here, in addition to all this cargo room. So if you can get over not having a ton of speed or a ton of luxury, this is certainly an option for you. Now let's get this thing out on the road and see how this 4-cylinder 147 horsepower performs out on the open road. Let's get moving. So out on the road in the 2024 Kia Soul, the handling is not superb. It's not amazing, but there is enough soul, perhaps, if you want to call it that, to keep you from being bored. I mean, most economy cars, affordable cars, are kind of blah to drive out in the real world. There's enough character, enough pep, enough quirkiness here to kind of keep your ride entertaining and fun and still engaging, in my opinion. It's not a fast car. It's not going to corner like it's, you know, some Lotus sports car, but there is enough something about it that makes you kind of, you know, still feel engaged and still feel a part of the drive, which I really enjoy. The suspension is soft. The wheels are quiet because they're, I mean, it's only 16-inch rims. There's not large tires on here, so this thing soaks up little imperfections quite nicely. There's not a lot of wind noise either, despite these really tall kind of side windows here and this smaller overall feel. There's not a ton of wind noise, which I really enjoy as well. It's got a very refined demeanor, and I think an overall comfortable ride. I mean, Kia's been making this for more than a decade, so they kind of know what they're doing at this point, and this just keeps getting better and better. It's definitely a nicer, quieter ride than my 2015 Kia Soul was, for sure. And I love all the screen real estate that I have. You know, this big, large gauge digital gauge cluster in front of me, this big screen in the center here. I'm really kind of a fan of just how integrated and more upscale they've made this economy car feel. Again, not really an SUV in my world. Plenty of room that maybe you can make that argument, but more of a hatchback wagon type of thing. It's the same argument that Subaru makes with their Forester. I don't really think the Forester is an SUV. To me, it's a wagon, just because of the way it looks and the way it started off, you know, in the early 2000s. But that's a whole different story, a whole different aside. I'm getting off topic here. But you will have no problem keeping up in everyday traffic in this thing. Definitely peppy off the start. That CVT definitely gets you going where you need to with a nice little bit of get up and go. When you punch it fully out on the highway to get to 60, 70 miles an hour, it might whine a little bit at you whenever you're doing that. And let's talk safety too while we're talking about speed and getting up and going, right? So standard safety features include, standard forward collision warning with automated emergency braking, standard lane departure warning with lane keeping assist, and there is available blind spot monitoring and automatic high beam headlamps. And this car, to me, again, like on top of just the safety features, all the tech and kind of amenities that it offers, and the two-tone paints you can get on the inside and the different kind of color schemes you can have, this reminds me of like the Scion brand when it came out from Toyota. Really kind of putting customization at the forefront of the customer experience. Whatever you want, whatever you need, Kia is trying to make that available for you. Up at some higher speeds now, about 60 miles an hour here on the highway, there is a little more road noise than I just alluded to on some back roads, but still plenty enough enjoyable and comfortable. The car is composed. It feels totally fine over some of the bumps in the road, and keeping up with larger vehicles. And I actually just tried out the forward collision system. I didn't do it while I was recording because I wanted to make sure that I was doing this scenario correctly without getting it on camera in case I messed up. But I did try out the, get too close to a car that is braking to see what the car does. And it does slow you down a little bit and definitely beeps and gives you all the alerts that it should. So that system works really, really well. And again, 10 years ago, basic cars like this didn't come with these, driver assistance features. And they are just basically expected to be standard now. And Kia is offering that for sure. My mother had a 2003 Honda Accord that cost $20,000, and it was as bare bones as it gets back in '03. This is $21,000, $22,000. It comes with so much more: screens, backup camera, which is super clear and super nice, by the way. The backup camera on this car is actually pristine compared to some much more expensive models. But you get so much bang for your buck here. Kia is absolutely doing something right with this. And if I had, an extra $300 a month to lease one or to buy one, I might think about it for sure. And just cruising along here, actually hugging the Susquehanna River here in central Pennsylvania. Gonna take this on a back road here to see how she does handling on some more uneven roads. Here we go. Woo. Yeah, a little peppy there. Okay, nice. Oh yeah, good handling through these little corners here. Back through the woods, and it is a comfortable ride. I gotta say, I don't know how Kia put all this together in such a fun little quirky package, but it's a fun car to drive. I can only imagine if it had a turbo engine still what it would feel like. But I'm soaking up the potholes, little imperfections in the road for sure. Sometimes crossing the center line and hitting some little divots. Car feels great, it really does, and the steering is precise. A little bit of like pull whenever I whacked the accelerator and had the car turning from the front wheel drive powertrain. A little bit of like pull in the direction I didn't really want it to go, but that might just be me not being super familiar with the vehicle. But yeah, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with all your stuff in here and all this room. Little mountain getaway car for sure. I'm not sure how much snow you're going to be able to go through, or big hills, but oh yeah, no problem at all. Really pleasantly surprised. All right, time for an acceleration test, and I have the car in sport mode right now for this portion of the video because I want to see what it sounds like, what it does in sport mode when I just whack the accelerator. Let me get around this big old corner here and make sure no one is coming. And unfortunately, there are about 3 cars coming, so we have to wait a quick second before I can pull out here and do my little test. So hold tight. All righty, finally our turn to pull out. All right, in 3, 2, 1. All right, 60 miles an hour after about 8 seconds. That's about right. Definitely whines and grinds and kind of fights you on the full-on putting pedal to the metal, flooring this thing. Not made for acceleration, okay, we've determined that, but that is all right. This car still is such a winner in so many ways. Tons of tech, tons of safety features, a bargain on the price, good fuel economy, and the large scheme of things, tons of interior room, good headroom. I've got a whole foot above my head, it feels like. So much positive to say here in the 2024 Kia Soul. I am such a fan. Absolutely check this out if you are looking for a subcompact vehicle that is going to deliver on almost all of the necessary fronts. That is it for this review of this 2024 Kia Soul. If you found this video helpful, like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and follow us over on Instagram as well at Overdrive Reviews. I appreciate all the support so far. Let me know what other questions you might have in the comments below. That is it for this one. We will see you next time. Be safe.